What is good? Let me make sure everything's working on here. Make sure I have sound. Sound. Yeah, there's sound. Okay, perfect. Well, everyone, here we are. We are going to be doing a Tom MacDonald live reaction. I know that's not what you're seeing right here. This is Keyhole to Hell. This is hashtag what I look like in the morning without makeup. Hashtag I woke up like this. We're going to dive into, I figured I'd do a live Woke World from Tom MacDonald. But what I wanted to do first was, I also dropped a song today. I have dropped a song a week this whole month. I am doing Halloween songs. I think I have one more I'll be dropping either next week or the following week after that. And yeah, we're going to jump into that. And so I wanted to give you guys like a sample of the song so that you guys could go in and listen to it and let me know what you guys think. So I'm going to play just a little clip of the song I dropped today, and then we're going to get into the Tom MacDonald reaction. And so, like I said, hashtag this is what I woke up like this. Aren't I so sexy? Don't I look cute? This is me when I'm hangry. But let's go ahead and I just want to play the beginning of my song. I'm hoping that you guys will go listen to it after this live of Tom MacDonald's Woke World. And then, yeah, let me just play a piece of it. So this is it. So it's a Halloween song. Let's wait to hear this part right here. Come on, tell me that's not fire. I'll just play till the first vocal. So that's the song that I put out today. But y'all aren't here for that. You guys are here for Tom MacDonald, Woke World. Now, I have done who knows how many reactions to Tom MacDonald. I can't even begin. I think it might be in the 50s now. I know it's at least 40, probably 50. I've done quite a few. And where's he at? It almost looks like an Oregon coast of some sort, but with the, well, I mean, Oregon coast has trash and stuff. He's at the beach or at a lake. Maybe he's at Hemet. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know where he's at. It looks like a beach. He's obviously at a beach. Shot up police cars. Now, Tom and I, we land differently. We just do. You guys know that. We land differently. And guys, if you guys want to, since this is a live, you can chat in the comments and we can dialogue on this. I have not seen this yet. It looks like there's a drone right in the middle of that thing. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a plane. Looks like a drone. But we land differently on a lot of things politically. But we land on a lot of the same things too. I think at the end of the day, we want the same things. We want an America that we can all relate to, that has safe borders, that has, yeah, a liberal saying safe borders, right? That has, that treats everybody fairly, that is a place that all of us could live in. And I think there's some commonality there. We all want to have a good wage, be able to provide for our families, have our children have the best education. I think we all want the same things. We just disagree sometimes on how to go about that. And I know that ever since the Trump assassination, which I vehemently spoke out against, the Charlie Kirk assassination. In fact, even as a liberal, I wrote a song called Charlie Kirk's Echo. You can see it in my thing. I wrote it 4 days out because he got assassinated as I was driving. I'm in Oregon. I was driving to California. I was gone for 4 days. And the day I get back, I wrote the song and put it out because I thought it was really important to speak where I'm at as a liberal. Now, we land differently. I think we want the same things. I just know that since the Trump assassination, he's gone a little more to the right. And, I have no problem where people left or right. I guess this is where my problem is with both sides, is we see everything now through the filter of ideology instead of through the lens of values. And we're letting our ideology determine our values. Both sides does this. And if we can get back to looking through the lens of our values and seeing people through that lens, then ideology it's not a divisive thing. It becomes a point of conversation and where we can get things done. And I think that's where we need to get back to. However, Tom MacDonald, woke world. And guys, I did a long intro because I was waiting for people to get in here. So bear with me, but here we go. Let's do this. Let's see what he has to say.
America.
It's a bird. It's not a drone. That was a bird flying. I thought it was a drone. It's a bird. Okay.
America is fallen, turned our men into women. Our billionaires get private islands where they're trafficking children. The flag is burning in the street.
What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to listen to the whole song, and then we're going to go back and break it down.
America is fallen, turned our men into women. Our billionaires get private islands where they're trafficking children. The flag is burning in the streets. We don't believe the politicians. We defunded the police and free speech has been restricted. And Canada has fallen, their dollar ain't worth a buck. If you misgender someone there, you're getting fined or locked up. Trudeau censored the internet, then they banned half the guns. The trucker convoy was the last breath of freedom in their lungs. And the UK has fallen, getting woker every day. It's illegal immigrants throwing acid into faces. Protests and riots, COVID record inflation. The people lost their freedom. Great Britain lost its greatness. America to Europe, across the globe. Every country, every city, every neighborhood and home. It's infecting everything and everybody that we know. So just say it. Screw everything woke. Say it at the top of your lungs. Don't let it go. Scream it out into the streets. I promise that you're not alone. Go ahead, say it with your chest way down deep in your soul. But just say it. Screw everything woke. Rise up. I can see your fire. You and me, we can burn what they built to the ground.
That's fire chorus.
Rise up, can't let them divide us.
Love the hook.
You and me, we can burn this world down. America is fallen, woke became a disease. They made trillions off of mandatory lethal vaccines. The anthem plays and half the country is still taking a knee. Blacks and whites fighting over whose life matters the least. And Canada has fallen, people can't afford to pay for food. The media's all liberal, it's nothing but the fake news. There's oil in the ground and pipelines they refuse to use. You're only heard if you're indigenous or LGBTQ. Australia has fallen, Ireland been up in flames. People rioting and dying, divided, fighting for change. And from Canada to Finland, Denmark, back to USA, it's a woke world. That's what we're standing up against. America to Europe, across the globe. Every country, every city, every neighborhood and home. It's infecting everything and everybody that we know. So just say it. Screw everything woke. Say it at the top of your lungs. Don't let it go. Scream it out into the streets. I promise that you're not alone. Go ahead, say it with your chest way down deep in your soul. But just say it. Screw everything woke. Rise up. I can see your fire. You and me, we can burn what they built to the ground. Rise up, can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this world down. The whole world's fallen to the globalist elite. They want one God, one leader, one currency. It's the cigarettes, the vaccines, the food that you eat. Either way, the deep state wants you 6 feet deep. Fill your headphones with music, reinforcing their beliefs, and replace your own thoughts with the lies on TV. It's a woke world, and we won't survive if we're asleep. So wake up before you rest in peace. Rise up, I can see your fire.
Oh, look at that. That's cool.
We can burn what they built to the ground. Rise up, can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this world down.
Okay. He said watch to the very end. All right. Very hard not to give commentary on this. Now, we're going to go down and we're going to break it down. I liked some of the things he said. I did not like some of the things he said. I think some of it was, I could understand where he's coming from, and some of it I disagree with. Now, I don't believe that, let me say this clearly, let me just say this. I don't believe anyone should ever be assassinated for having different views, okay? So, let's go down and break down the lyrics, what he's saying. Now I'll do all my pauses. I did this one because I wanted to hear the totality of the song. I will say this. The song itself, let's move. We're going to dissect the lyrics now, but the songs itself, I thought the song was, I love the acoustic guitar. I love the feel of the chorus. I love the flow, the mood of the music. It's a very anthem sounding, it's like an oxymoron saying this. It's a very anthem sounding, like acoustical type song. Just a very, it's like what we would say in Portland. We would say it's a big small city. It's a big small city, and this was a big small song, it was like an anthem for an acoustic. So now, I know people are going to have different opinions. I'm here to share mine, and that's what I'm doing here. So let's break it down now, and let's kind of go through this, because there's some things I agree with, some things I don't agree with. And what I love about our channel is that, or my channel, is that we can have these conversations, and we can do this in a very, not humanistic, because I'm not a humanist, a very empathetic, a very reserved, respecting one another kind of way. We can have these conversations. And don't worry if I get hate. I have a song in the chamber that I've written, a diss track for my haters. I'm just waiting to get through the holidays and waiting for the hate to pick up. And then I'm going to unleash it on some of my haters. However, with that said, let's see what he has to say. Let's break this down, and I'll give you guys my thoughts.
America's fallen, turned our men into women. Our billionaires get private islands where they're trafficking children. The flag.
Okay, I don't believe America is turning our men and women and stuff. What do you say? How do you say this? Sorry, I want to make sure I heard this right.
Fallen, turned our men into women.
Men into women. I don't think that's happening. Obviously, the trans thing is a big conversation. I personally believe, as a liberal, that trans people exist. I think there's a better way to, and again, we're not talking about biology, okay? Obviously, I believe biology defines, there's a biological male, there's a biological female, but you can say the same thing when it comes to like motherhood. You don't have to give birth to be a mom. You can adopt a child. There's ways that you can coincide and deal with that. Like, is a mom not a mom if she didn't give birth to a child? I mean, is a dad not a dad if he didn't, give birth, or, if it wasn't his seed, if they're adopting something else, if they're taking on something. So I don't think it's appropriating that the trans are doing, but I obviously think there's conversation that needs to happen around trans sports. I think there's a conversation that needs to happen. I think there's a way to go about it without dehumanizing both sides. And again, like I said in the beginning of this live, I think the issue is that we see everything through the filter of through our ideology and not through the lens of our values. And we're letting our ideology determine our values when our values should determine our ideology. And I think if we could flip that on both sides, the conversation would be better and we could get better at this. So I don't believe America is itself turning men into women and women. I think it's a bigger conversation than that, personally. But I understand the sentiment. I also fully agree with what he's saying about the Epstein Islands and all that stuff. Like, we're on the same page there. Release the Epstein list.
America's fallen, turned our men into women. Our billionaires get private islands where they're trafficking children.
That's facts. That's facts. In fact, trafficking is a horrible, horrible thing. I don't care which side it comes from. I'm going to call it out. If it's on the left, on the right, in the middle, it doesn't matter to me. If they're trafficking children, it needs to be called out. I think every human being that is logical, left or right, can agree with this statement. I should point this way with this statement. I don't think we're going to have any issues there. I don't think we can say that's delusional because that's true. That's happening. Billionaires are buying islands and they're trafficking women and children, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop. So I think we can agree there.
Because fallen turned our men into women. Our billionaires get private islands where they're trafficking children. The flag is burning in the streets. We don't believe the politicians. We defunded the police and free speech has been restricted. And
all that's true. All that's true. Things are happening. And again, and I know people hate this because I'm more middle left than full on like liberal. I am a liberal, but I lean left. The flag's been burned, but they've taken care of that. I still think that as much as people hate it, I personally think it should be something that should be allowed. I might get hate for that, but I think it should be allowed. I've never burned a flag, nor would I, but I think people should have the right to express themselves in that, and that's just me. I know the right's going to hate me for my opinion on that. I also understand their side of dying for the flag. I get it. But that's where I land. And then what else did he say?
Our men into women. Our billionaires get private islands where they're trafficking children. The flag is burning in the streets. We don't believe the politicians. We defund.
No one believes the politicians. I've never believed the politicians.
The police and free speech has been restricted.
Yep.
And Canada has fallen. Their dollar ain't worth a buck. If you misgender someone there, you're getting fined or locked up. Trudeau said.
I mean, that's true. That's happening. And again, this is my problem with going too extreme on either side. I know in Europe they were doing the same thing. They were finding people, and there was a season where they were trying to arrest people for Facebook posts. I think that is a dangerous precedent to set, and I think we've got to protect free speech on both sides. Now, as a liberal, I've called that out when I've seen it. On the other hand, I've seen it too. Like, I remember I put up a post on X because I just wrote one word, and I did it on purpose, and I wrote cisgendered, and I posted it because I was told that it was going to be censored, and it was. It was flagged as hate speech, and I was like, come on. There's no double standards here. I mean, there should be no double standards here. We should not restrict it on one side or the other side. I think free speech needs to be protected from both sides. And I find it very frustrating, especially from me being middle left. I find it very frustrating when the left does it or when the right does it, when they oppose so vocally what happens on one side, and then when it happens on their side, they're so silent about it. And I'm like the one, no, let's call it all out. Call all the hypocrisy out. So if there's a shooting and if it's left side and it happens, Charlie Kirk gets assassinated from the left, call it out. But if there's a church burning down called the Latter-day Saints and it's from the right wing, call it out. We shouldn't play favoritism on this stuff. We should call it all out. And so that's where I land. Jessica says, I love how you state your opinion, but you are respectful about it. And that's what we need more in this world is people like you, because we can always agree to disagree. No one has to be at war at all. And I agree with that. I think we have to find a way to come and look through the lens of our values and not through the filter of our ideology, because our ideology is what's separating us. It's causing this us against them, when at the end of the day, the average liberal and the average Republican want the same things. We just have a difference in opinion on how to go about getting those things. So yeah, thank you for that comment, Jerica. Alicia says, I feel like Thomas just calling for unity. As someone in the middle, I really respect that. I can respect that too. All right, let's get back a little bit. Sorry, we're going a little bit longer on this one because it is a live, and I do want to break this down a little bit more. So.
Dollar ain't worth a buck. If you misgender someone there, you're getting fined or locked up. Trudeau censored the internet, then they banned half the guns. The trucker convoy was the last breath of freedom in their lungs. And the UK has fallen, getting woker every day. It's illegal immigrants throwing acid into faces. Protests and riots, COVID record inflation. The people lost their freedom. Great Britain lost its greatness. America.
Okay. So I don't know if he's just only talking about what's going on around the world here, because he's got his map here. I don't know what that says for America. I know Canada says fallen, or maybe they all say fallen. I don't believe it's fallen. I think there's some good ideas on both sides. And the problem is we won't hear each other anymore. We see it's like I have my left hand and I have my right hand, and we're seeing these as enemies, and it's part of the same body. We're people, and we've got to find a way. And I agree with you, Scott. We're on the same side except politicians. I fully agree with that. I don't think politicians have our back. And I would say that under a Biden administration, and under a Trump administration, and under a Clinton administration, and under a Bush administration, I'm going left and right on this because I don't think they have our best interest. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Okay, let's break this down a little bit more. Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry.
Into faces, protests and riots, COVID record inflation. The people lost their freedom, Great Britain lost its greatness. America to Europe, across the globe. Every country, every city, every neighborhood and home. It's infecting everything and everybody that we know, so just say it. Screw everything woke. Say it.
Yeah, so, I would say this. I've called out, I wrote 2 songs back to back. I wrote one called Make America Hate Again, where I called out the right. And then I released one right after that called Make Woke Rage Again, where I called out the left. Because I'm all for calling it out. Like, I believe there are good ideas in every community. But we've got to find a way to not force them to have rational dialogue and let the best ideas win in the public square. That's where I land. That's where I land. So I don't believe wokeness is a virus to the extent that others do, but I do see that there's been some absolute harm with the extremes of it, for sure. I will call that out. But I think anything extreme needs to be called out, because I'm just middle ground. That's just like I live in a utopia of ideology of like kumbaya. Let's all hold hands and be in a circle and sing songs and to me, let's just get along. Can't we just get along? I think we could. We don't have to like burn everything down. Jeez. Okay, let's go back. Where are we at? Kick us back.
Everything and everybody.
There's a delay in the music for me coming on. I know it doesn't delay for you, but I have to go back a little bit further because of the delay.
The people lost their freedom, Great Britain lost its
now it kicked in.
America to Europe, across the globe. Every country, every city, every neighborhood and home. It's infecting everything and everybody that we know, so just say it. Screw everything woke. Say it at the top of your lungs, don't let it go. Scream it out into the streets, I promise that you're not alone. Go ahead, say it with your chest way down deep in your soul, but just say it. Screw everything woke. Right.
See, and this is where I think I disagree with Tom. Kind of. Like, I kind of agree with him. I kind of disagree with him. I really try to not be dogmatic or emphatic on, like, screw everything woke. Because I don't think everything, in all cases, at all times, in all communities, is bad. I think there are good ideas with bad execution. And so we've got to figure out a way, like you guys are saying, to communicate, to disarm, to take the fight out of the argument, to find the common person, find the human behind, someone did this. I heard this recently and I loved this. And this is a true story. And I know I'm going off on a tangent, but that's what these songs are for, right? These songs are to get us to talk. And that's what these lives are for, to get us to talk. And Alicia says, or Scott says, we're all on the same side except politicians, right? Alicia says, I feel like we just forgot how to communicate. We just want to call each other names, and that's not how we do it. Exactly. So there was a true story. There was a gathering where they took people who had these opposite political or not even political, these opposite views, and they brought them together to have a conversation. And you had one guy who was an adamant guns advocate, the Second Amendment. This is what he was in there. And, he's sitting in the room. And then you had this girl who lost their daughter to gun violence. And so what they did is they had them go down and sit at the table together. And they did this with a bunch of people, but these two, they had them go down and sit at the table together and share their stories. And what happened with the person who was the gun advocate, he was sharing his story. And he's like, yeah, when I was like a kid, maybe 12, 13 years old, I watched my stepdad or my dad or something, I think it was his stepdad or something, beat the daylights out of his mom and knock her out. And I vowed from that time on, I'm never going to be in a place where I can't defend myself. you know, and he went on to be an extreme NRA like gun advocate. Well, the girl was sharing her story. She's like, yeah, I lost, you know, she said my daughter, she went to the mall and we had gotten into a fight, and right before she left, I fought because her room wasn't clean, and she goes, I would give anything to have a dirty room again. And what they had to do is they had to go up and talk as if they were the other person. And so the gentleman goes up there and says, he says that very thing, you know, he's talking as if he's her. You know, I lost my daughter to gun violence, and you know, I just wish I could have a dirty room again. And he was able to put himself into the shoes of this girl, and she did the same. And they both walked away with their same thoughts, their same views, their same stances, but they became friends. And they became lifelong friends, and they were able to I'm going to say this, disarm, you know, their politically charged stuff to come back to the conversation of why they land where they land. And if we could find it, or if we could just stop the arguing and the name throwing and all this stuff and get back to the reality of, okay, tell me your story. Why do you land on this side? What's your what brought you to these conclusions, and really try to understand the person on the other side, it's going to change the conversation, because it's no longer ideology. It's now lived experience, and it's values that are driving the conversation. And we got to get back to that. So I don't believe we need to burn it all down, but I do believe we need to voice our opinions. So I'm there.
That you're not alone, go ahead, say it with your chest way down deep in your soul, but just say it. Screw everything woke.
By the way, Tom, that radio right there, that CB radio, probably doesn't work. Just saying.
And say it with your chest way down deep in your soul, but just say it. Screw everything woke. Rise up.
This is a fire chorus.
Fire. You and me, we can burn what they built to the ground. Burn everything woke. Right.
Scott, you said he used to be on the left, but they moved to the middle ground. I kind of understand what you're saying. I don't think the middle ground's moved. I think we're all still here. I think what's happened is we've expanded the edges of the extremes, and they've got the louder platforms. And this comes back down to the algorithms, where, you know, I put out, you know, songs of hope, and the algorithms don't do anything. I put a song like, you know, something that I'm speaking my mind and creating emotions. The algorithms will pull those out so that we see the extremes. So I think the middle ground hasn't moved at all. I just think the extremes got louder. That's just my opinion, from my limited perspective.
Can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this world down.
So here's where I agree and disagree. So again, this is just us against them. He's saying, listen, we don't want the woke to divide us on the right. You know, we can burn all that down. And it's this, like, we have this common enemy. But again, people aren't our enemy. And even for me as a Christian, you know, my Bible says our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the darkness, the dark forces of this world. It's the behind the scenes, right? It's not the people. And we've got to stop dehumanizing and demonizing people, because people, we all want the same thing. We want to be respected. We want to be loved. We want to be heard. We want to be seen. We want our families to be taken care of. We want to have some security with our jobs. We want to be able to buy groceries. We all want the same things. I don't think anyone would disagree with those things. So we've got to stop dehumanizing and come back to the conversation. We've just got to. So, anyway, let's kick this back.
Rise up. Can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this world down. Burn everything woke. America is fallen, woke became a disease. They made trillions.
I do kind of agree with the second part. Woke became a disease. Again, because extreme breeds extremism. And again, we've got to say this. Like, hate begets hate. And hate for hate is never the solution, ever. It's never the way to do things. We've got to tone the rhetoric down and start seeing people for who they are. So, and I don't believe America's fallen. I guess that's where I struggle, because I think America is still the greatest country ever. I think it's got so much. I just think the internet is poisonous, and when you get off the internet and you're just dealing with people, it is so much nicer. It's just, you see the humanity once again. I think we need internet breaks at times.
You and me, we could burn this world down. America is fallen, woke became a disease. They made trillions off of mandatory lethal vaccines. The anthem play.
I mean, that's true. That's true. They made millions off. Now, I was definitely vaccinated for my business that I do. I had to be. I'm in the medical field, and I travel internationally, and I get people out of slavery. I go in there, and do that stuff. And so the requirements were to be vaccinated, and I'm like, hey, I'll do it. I'll get vaccinated. I didn't care. But mandating it, I think I had an issue with that. On one hand, I went back and forth on this. And then on the other hand, I think like mandating things like the smallpox and those things, polio, those were vital. So you guys take with it as well. I'm not going to get in the COVID conversation because we're past that. But they did mandate it, and I know it was a problem. Alicia, I agree. That's my saying all the time, that the greatest commandment ever was to love God, and the second like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Love God, love people. That is how I operate. That is why I have a business dealing with disabled people. This is why, as a Christian, I can love on the LGBT community. This is why I can go to India and work with the Dalits, who are the most marginalized. There's 160 million Dalits in India who are absolutely discriminated against. This is why I go into Pakistan, the Middle East, and we get people out of slavery from the brick mines. This is why I do the work I do. This is why I go into Kenya and these things that we do. And so I absolutely agree. It comes down to loving God and loving people. Okay, sorry, let's get back to the song. People are gonna hate me because I'm rambling. Rise up, can't let them divide us. You and me, we could burn this world down. I don't want to burn the world down.
America is fallen, woke became a disease. They made trillions off of mandatory lethal vaccines. The anthem plays and half the country is still taking a knee. Blacks and whites fighting over whose life matters the least. And Canada has fallen, people can't afford to pay for food. The media's all liberal, it's nothing but the fake news. There's oil in...
Okay, and this is where I disagree and agree. So I understand he's saying the media's all liberal. And he's talking about mainstream in the sense of like the traditional networks, but it's not all liberal. It's just not. You have Ben Shapiro, you have Mike Knowles, you have, Turning Point, you have, and all of these different platforms, right? Matt Walsh, they have very loud voices. So the internet has given a big platform to both the left and the right. The issue is the algorithms, because the algorithms force you to go into echo chambers where you only hear it from one side or the other. So though I agree he's talking about the traditional media, but we don't live in that world anymore. We don't live in that. So we can't use that argument that the media is all liberal. It's just not. It's just not. There are loud conservative voices and loud liberal voices, the media, and then you've got to figure out a way which one's not biased or which one doesn't have. That's the hardest point, because I still think even today both sides are very biased, and what I do is you got to chew the meat and spit out the bones and find the truth in the middle. You just got to do that. America is the greatest country in the world. It's not perfect. No country is, but I'm proud to be an American. And, I will say this. I've traveled the world. I've been into so many third world countries in the work that I do, and America is the greatest country. It really is. We have our problems, but we are the greatest country. Scott says, gay, trans, lesbians, who cares? Everyone can think on their own. No need to. Exactly. Now, I understand there has to be conversations about, kids and how do we navigate that, and that should be a conversation. But when it comes to adults should be able to do what adults need to do. I fully agree with that. Okay. Come on, Tom, speak to us.
In a knee, blacks and whites fighting over whose life matters the least. And Canada has fallen, people can't afford to pay for food. The media's all liberal, it's nothing but the fake news. There's oil in the ground and pipelines they refuse to use. You're only heard if you're Indigenous or LGBTQ. Australia has fallen, Ireland.
Well, he said, I want to get the oil in the ground, and you're only heard
Over whose life matters the least. And can't.
I've already touched on Black Lives Matters in previous posts, so we'll go into that. I'm not going to go into that one now. You guys know where I land on that.
Canada has fallen.
If you don't know where I land on that, watch my other videos.
In a knee, blacks and whites fighting over whose life matters the least. And
Right.
Canada has fallen, people can't afford to pay for food. The media's all liberal, it's nothing but the fake news. There's oil in the ground and pipelines they refuse to use. You're only heard if you're Indigenous or LGBTQ. Australia.
Okay, you're only heard if you're not hurt. Okay, so there's oil in the ground. At some point, oil is going to run out. So I'm all about renewable energy. I'm all about using the resources wisely. So there's that. But he says you're only heard. I thought he said hurt. You're only heard if you're Indigenous or LGBT. This is where I land on this. I believe there is a truth to that to some degree. And I believe that all of this stuff that we're seeing now about the almost the backlash comes from trying to silence the other sides, right? But again, we all have platforms now, and you know, people say, well, they cancel people. They do, and I'm against cancel culture, but I just don't think that the platforms. There's so many platforms on the left and the right that we can get our voice heard. So. But I understand where he's coming from on that. So I could relate, and I think that was a problem, and I think that can be addressed. The question is it easier to hate or love someone, Scott says. This is a very easy question to answer. It is much easier to hate somebody. It's very easy to dehumanize somebody. It is difficult to lay down our pride and to lay down our ideology and to walk in our values and to love someone who thinks different than us. That is very challenging to do. But that is what we are called to do. We are called to rise higher. That's what we're called to do. Again, hate begets hate is not the answer. Hate over hate, that will never solve anything but create more hate. We've got to find a way to stop fighting each other. We've got to.
Can't afford to pay for food. The media's all liberal. It's nothing but the fake news. There's oil in the ground and pipelines they refuse to use. You're only heard if you're Indigenous or LGBTQ. Australia has fallen. Ireland been up in flames. People rioting.
I will say this too. I believe there needs to be a voice for those who are marginalized. So when he's talking about the indigenous people, I can't even say the word today, or LGBTQ, I think, or let's say the Dalits in India, or those who are enslaved in Pakistan, or the brutal slaughtering of, I think it's over 100,000 Christians. Is it in Nigeria? I think it is. Or the murders and the wars that are happening in Ukraine or in Gaza and all those areas. I think when a group of people are being attacked or are marginalized or don't have the numbers that the mainstream have, they should have a louder voice. They should have a voice. We should give them a voice. Not to exclude the other voices, but I think there's ebbs and flows in this. You know, I think if everyone's living their life and it's fine, they don't need to have the loud platform. But if someone's being, absolutely obliterated, or community's being obliterated, we need to hear their voice and in hopes of taking some action to do something to protect this community, regardless of which community it is. So that's my thoughts on that.
And Canada has fallen, people can't afford to pay for food. The media's all liberal, it's nothing but the fake news. There's oil in the ground and pipelines they refuse to use. You're only heard of.
Scott, I hope I answered your question about when it matters, not, when it matters.
If you're Indigenous or LGBTQ, Australia has fallen. Ireland been up in flames, people rioting and dying, divided, fighting for change. And from Canada to Finland, Denmark, back to USA, it's a woke world. That's what we're standing up against. America.
I don't see these worlds as fallen. What I see on these worlds, on these different nations, is there's been ideological clashes, and if we can again move away from ideology and move into our values and into letting that be the filter of love God, love people, or loving our fellow neighbors ourselves, and let that dictate our conversations, all this would go away. Not the problems. We'd still have to work out the how to navigate, being self-governed and what to do, but this hatred would stop, which is what my goal is on this channel.
Been up in flames, people rioting
I
and
disagree
dying,
with that.
divided, fighting for change. And from Canada to Finland, Denmark back to USA, it's a woke world. That's what we're standing up against. America to Europe, across the globe. Every country, every city, every neighborhood and home. It's infecting everything and everybody that we know. So just say it. Screw everything woke. Say
I can't screw everything woke. I disagree adamantly with a lot of the woke ideology. I just do. But I don't disagree with all of it. I understand the motive behind it. I understand that we want equal rights for all people. I think everyone should have a fair chance. I disagree adamantly with the militant side of it, on either side of it, so I kind of land there. Scott says, even if you're on the left, I still love you as much as I love anyone except my mom. Well, I mean, that's what we're supposed to love our moms, right? So I don't shame you for loving your mom more than anybody. Good on you, Scott. And I love you too, even though you're on the wrong side of history. I'm kidding. Just trying to be funny here.
across the globe, every country,
Gotta
every
have some
city,
fun at
every
some point.
neighborhood and home. It's infecting everything and everybody that we know. So just say it. Screw everything woke. Say it at the top of your lungs, don't let it go. Scream it out into the streets, I promise that you're not alone. Go ahead, say it with your chest way down deep in your soul, but just say it. Screw everything woke. Rise up.
I love that he threw his phone, because I'm telling you, the internet is toxic. It's toxic. I live in a very red area, and I have some of the greatest conversations and some really incredible relationships with those on the opposite side, and I think we can all do this. And they vehemently disagree with my politics, with my stance on LGBTQ as a Christian, on my stance on all kinds of things. But we get along because we see the value in each other, that this world's a better place with each other, even though we disagree on our ideology. Ideologies are going to die with the next trend. I mean, but our values is what should be determining how we associate with each other and how we deal with each other. I will not give into the narrative, this us against them. I refuse to do it. Not in America. It is not left against right. We are the same people. We are two sides of the same coin. You can't cut off half of America who voted one way and half who voted the other way. We can't. We can't write them off and say everyone's a fascist or a Nazi or a pedophile, or ignorant. We've got to stop the name calling and get back to reality of loving God, loving people.
It out into the
And
streets,
for
I
those of you
promise
who are
that you're
hopping
not
in,
alone. Go ahead, say it.
and you think I'm talking too much, if you go back to the beginning of this live, we watched the whole song, and now we're having a conversation about it.
With your chest way down deep in your soul, but just say it. Screw everything woke.
Throw that phone, Tom.
I can see your fire. You and me, we can burn what they built to the ground. Burn everything woke. Rise up. Can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this woke world.
I appreciate that, Scott. Thank you.
The whole world's falling to the globalist elite. They want one God.
Okay, this is what I really want to talk about, especially as a Christian. Listen to this line here.
The whole world's falling to the globalist elite. They want one God, one leader, one currency. It's the cigarettes, the vaccines, the food.
I'm just saying, I've read my Bible from front to back about 40 or 50 to 100 times. I read my Bible on a regular. And I've had this battle here. We're going to go into some Christianese here. So this isn't your conversation. That's totally fine. But, the Bible talks about a one world government, talks about a one world system, a one world currency. And we are there. And I understand the idea of fighting against something that is prophetic in the Bible. However, if the Bible is true, which I personally believe it is, you may not, but I do. If it's true, we can fight against it all we want. It's still going to take place if it's a prophetic thing. But the systems in place, especially with AI, right? For a one world currency, one world government, all that stuff's there. And so, again, how do we not dehumanize the common citizen as all this stuff is happening? We've got to stop fighting one another. We just got to stop fighting one another.
The whole world's falling to the globalist elite. They want
Thank
one
you,
God, one leader,
Alicia.
one currency. It's the cigarettes, the vaccines, the food that you eat.
Imagine if you were pro-Trump and had Democrats in this chat. Scott, what's funny is, and I understand what you're saying, because not Democrats, I would say extreme liberals, because I'm a Democrat. I wouldn't even say, I vote Democrat now. No, I can't even say that. I wouldn't even say I'm not even a Democrat, because I voted red, I voted blue, and I voted independent many times in my life. I'm liberal. I would say that. I'm not that. But you say, imagine if you were pro-Trump and had Democrats in this chat. What would happen? Yeah. I will say this with integrity in my heart, that I've had a lot of hate as a liberal from the right. I get hate from the left because I'm not an echo chamber, right? I have my views and they don't always align with either side. But I've been called every name in the book. A C-U-N, you can finish the word. A B-I-T-C-H, I go down the list. I've been called everything. I've been called demonic. I'm satanic. I've been called a pedophile because I voted differently than someone else did. And so it's not isolated to one side. I think the challenge is, again, the algorithms in these chats, I think, are so one-sided that when someone who is toxic wants to go in and troll or fight, they know where to go and they know how to do that. And so, you said that I think you're very smart, thank you, I appreciate that. I hope you guys are watching my songs too. Like I said, I dropped a song today. It is not a theologically correct song. It is a Halloween song, Keyhole to Hell. The cover of that song is me without makeup. Just kidding. But I do appreciate that, Scott. Thank you. Let's finish up this song and let's break it down.
The whole world's falling to the globalist elite. They want one God, one leader, one currency.
That's gonna happen.
It's the cigarettes, the vaccines, the food that you eat. Either way, the deep state wants you 6 feet deep. Fill your headphones with music, reinforcing their beliefs, and replace your own thoughts with the lies on TV. It's a woke world, and we won't survive if
That's not just woke, Tom, though. That's also, it's both sides, because both sides do this. It's called propaganda. And what I find interesting, if we could step out of the left and the right for a minute and just watch it from the middle, what we find is those in power, propaganda, they're going to put propaganda out there. Like, for example, and again, I want to be very sensitive to this topic. I want to be very sensitive because I adamantly spoke out against the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Absolutely. But the propaganda started, in my opinion, this way, when they said they're so against trans people that, like, it wasn't a trans person that shot it, and it's like, oh, it's this trans lover. And now that conversation's over. They're not even having that conversation. And then a couple weeks later, we had the church shooting and where they burned it down from a right extremist, and nothing. And to me, that is propaganda. And both sides are guilty of this. And I will call it out every time that I'm aware of it, unless I'm having, like, internet exhaustion. And I'm just like, I can't do it right now, because there are seasons for that. And, like, there's just too much hate. I got to take a break. There's times I disconnect. But the propaganda, it's not just one side. It usually, in my opinion, observing history is... Think of Star Wars, right? You have the resistance, and the resistance is usually the one on the right, because the one in power has all the tools and the mechanisms, and then the one in resistance, they fight the deep state, if you would, or they fight the system, and then they get into power, and the next thing you know, there's resistance against them because it's been exploited. And this is a common theme. This isn't new, and we've got to be careful of that. So that's just me. Oh, David, thank you. I hope you watched my video I dropped today. So Alicia says that is in the Bible, I believe. Oh, Yes, you're talking about the one world government. That is in Revelation. It talks about the Antichrist and Thessalonians. I mean, I know my Bible very well. I've taught the book of Revelation multiple times. And so I love that book. But anyways, Tom, I disagree on that last statement there.
1 liter, 1 currency. It's the cigarettes, the vaccine.
So here's a funny thing. You said, man, I really miss Charlie Kirk. I loved watching him daily, and they stole it. I watched Charlie Kirk. I did not agree with a lot of things he said. I did agree with a lot of things he said. What I loved about Charlie Kirk and why I watched him, even though I was in opposition of a lot of his stances, was no one could debate him. I just kept thinking, guys, we've got to have better arguments to be able to relate and give our points on why we land where we land, and no one was able to do that, and I don't think I'd be able to do it. I'm not good at debate. Like, I'm good at conversation but not debate. But I do want to make one correction when it says and they stole it. I believe the shooter stole it and whoever was behind it, but we got to be careful. We can't categorize all of the left that did it, because all of the left did not do it. I am on the left, and I adamantly denounce all political violence. So we got to be really careful when we say they. I'd rather have specifics. The accuser, if he's guilty, he did it. And if anybody was behind him, those people did it. It's not all. So I just want to be really careful with that. And then you said, and joking, that was my favorite person. Yeah, I mean, I really liked the way he was able to debate. Again, I didn't agree with all of his points, but people had a hard time refuting that. I cannot believe someone had the ability to memorize everything, including the Bible. I mean, I remember when I was in Bible college. Yeah, liberal in Bible college. And I remember some of the people that I was alongside, some of the pastors of the time, they'd memorize like entire books of the Bible, like the book of Matthew. And I'm like, well, I memorized John 3:16, Psalm 1. And it really inspired me that they were able to do that. And here's the thing, we can all memorize scripture. We can all memorize entire books. Like, I don't have a good memory. I always challenge people on this. I'm like, well, what's your address? What's your name? What's my name? What are your kids' names? And you remember those so we can remember. And the best way to remember things is to put it to melody and to put it to song. I have a lot of scriptures that I remember, like, I think it's Romans 8 and 9. There's a song, for I am convinced that neither death nor life nor angels nor principalities. And you memorize things that way. So David says, I saw your new song, but I have to do Tom first. But I still, well, of course you got to do Tom first. I understand that. Mine's a Halloween song. Mine's not a political song. It's not talking about the times. It's literally a Halloween song. Although I will say this, there is. Let me pull this up. Let me pull up my thing that did I just turn on captions because I dropped my phone? I wrote this out for my song because there is a theme behind it, and I don't want you guys to miss this when you do watch my song, Keyhole to Hell. I wrote this little excerpt, so let me read this to you. It says this. Keyhole to Hell is a descent into darkness, a whispered ritual where curiosity becomes damnation. It's the sound of fear breathing down your neck, of doors creaking open that were never meant to be unlocked. Every lyric pulls you deeper into a dream that rots into nightmare, where shadows whisper and the blood moon watches in silence. This song isn't about Halloween's fantasy. It's about what happens when the mask slips and something ancient looks back. A low, eerie chant for the haunted. Keyhole to Hell is a warning. Once you've seen through the dark sees you too. Now, people are going to look at that video and not know the context. That they're going to say, oh, that's satanic. Because the song looks very, very pagan and satanic. But it's about getting past, and I love Halloween. I love celebrating Halloween. I love celebrating every holiday. My yard is decorated like graveyards and demons and all this stuff because I just like it. That's just, for the Halloween. But this song is going past that. When you get past the fantasy and you look into the darkness, be careful because the darkness sometimes looks back at you. And that's what the song is about. Okay, let's get back to the song or we'll never finish.
Either way, the deep state wants you 6 feet deep. Fill your headphones with music, reinforcing their beliefs, and replace your own thoughts with the lies on TV. It's a woke world, and we won't survive if we're asleep. So wake up before you rest in peace.
Again, I think it's an extreme world. Let's change it from woke to extreme. We've got to find the middle ground. I love the chorus, though.
You and me, we can burn what they built to the ground. Rise up, can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this world down.
David, it might scare you. All right, there's the song. It might scare you. I'm going to show you just a piece of the intro to the song. I played 35 seconds of it before. This is the song I dropped today. Now, before you think this is all demonic, this is what I look like when I wake up in the morning without makeup, okay? Hashtag I woke up like this. Funny thing is, the song has nothing to do with vampires, but I had to create something that was like scary. Okay? Yeah, I put out a song. I dropped it today at 9 o'clock, but let me play the first 35 seconds. Then you guys, and please, if you go to my song, leave a comment, a like, because I'm a small fry, right? I get like 100 views on my songs, 1,000 views on my songs, and I need help. And so you guys know how the algorithm works. You got to leave comments and share and like and love. That's the only way it gets out, because people don't like my kind of music. But let me play just 35 seconds of this. And it's not hip-hop. I've been doing a lot of hip-hop. This one's not. It's Halloween. And I may or may not be in this video. You'll have to find out. And that's all I'm going to show. You guys have to go to the video. Now, you said, you put out a song? Scott, I have put out like 40 songs, just so you know. Go to my playlist, Amy's Music. I've got so many songs on there. And I have written like 200 and something songs. And I have more songs. I could put out like 7 albums right now. And I have been pacing myself. And so for October, I've been doing Halloween theme songs, less political, less things like that. David, yeah, they really do suck, for real. Ding! That's funny. I've been putting out Halloween songs, but with that said, this whole month I've written like 20 songs that are not Halloween. I've been on this hip hop vibe. I've been doing a lot of hip hop, and I've been sharing a lot of stuff like that. But this month I've been going back to my rock roots and been writing a lot of rock songs. Now, by the time they get released, I don't know, because I've got probably 30 songs in the chamber that are ready to be released, but I just can't release them all at once because I got to do my videos. And here's the thing: I write the music, I write the lyrics, I create the videos myself. I don't have anyone. I don't have a Nova, right? I don't have like what Tom has. This is why I do a lot of like lyric videos oftentimes, because I have to film it all myself. I don't have the gear. So I have to do it on my phone, and it's very challenging. So I'll just oftentimes put out lyric videos so I can get the music out. But yeah, I know one of the best rappers in the Philippines. It would be a fun collab. I know some pretty good Philippine rappers. Didn't Easy Mill, isn't he Filipino? And didn't he just get signed to Slim Shady? Shady Records? I would love to collab with anybody. Now, I will say this about my hip hop. I am not I'm not like, Harry Mack, right? I can't just rap off the top of the dome. Like, I can't freestyle. I have to sit down and like listen to the beat, write out the music, write out the lyrics. So it takes me a minute. So I can't freestyle. I'm not there. I'm not that. But I will do double entendres, wordplay, up the Jazil. Check out. I got Who Would Jesus Punch? That's a fun one. I put that one out. That one's fire. There's a lot of doubles in there, and a lot of wordplay in there. Tom's Scary Stories. No one mean to Tom. I think I reacted to Tom's scary stories. I think I've done a reaction to that way back in the day. But check out my song. Throw me some love. And I'm going to get off of here because I've got to do my skits now. And I got to record a skit. And because I just put out a skit on Wednesday. A little fun, humorous, short. So you can look at that too because that's humorous. And help my algorithms just start liking and loving everything. Thank you guys for being on this with me. And I will talk with all you guys later. Thank you for sitting in here with me. I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you later. David, Scott, Alicia, who else is on here? And everyone else. Jason, Dark Shadow, Jerica, all you guys. Thank you guys, and I will see you guys later. Bye.